talking about nerdcore generations. It's a bit of a Q&A, also a kind of origins panel where we'll discuss where we come from, what our relationship is with nerdcore, and where we kind of see it going in the future. My name is Mega Ran, and it's good to see all of you. How many of you were at the concert last night? Yeah, nice. And you woke up early to come hang with us. I appreciate it. So I'm Mega Ran, former teacher turned rapper. I really enjoy retro video games, so this became a big part of my creation process and inspiration. Going on to release projects that would fall under the nerdcore banner, some that would not. And ultimately, I feel like, good creative hip hop is kind of where I stand and what I love to support and hopefully help create. So something that's a little bit left of center is always where I found my most comfort. And so yeah, that's where I create from. That's me, Mega Ran.
This is not like Joshua. He says hi, and he's coming here right now. So I am Samus. I'm a producer. I'm a rapper. I am also a former teacher, former elementary school teacher, and current graduate student at Cornell University in upstate New York in the Science and Technology Studies department. And I, like Raheem, have an interesting relationship with the term nerdcore. Basically, I feel like I have projects and songs that fall under that umbrella, but I also have projects and songs that I feel like don't necessarily, and we can talk more about that. But yeah, I also, in a similar vein, fell in love with retro games. It's funny for me to call them retro games because I just think of them as games, but then when I was teaching, a lot of my students were like, wow, these are really old. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess these are retro games. But yeah, I love Metroid. I grew up playing Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That soundtrack actually really changed my life a whole bunch. Final Fantasy 7, all those kind of classic games. Yeah, so that was kind of my gateway into talking about and thinking about these things. And I was really blessed to find Raheem. We connected through Bandcamp. And since then, I've been going on tours and doing projects together and just kind of pushing the boundaries of what this genre has traditionally meant.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. I'll talk about my first experience with what I had heard called nerdcore, and then you can kind of follow up with your own. I guess it was the year 2007 when I came across, I started creating Mega Man sampled beats, where I was making beats out of video game soundtracks. And looking for a place online to promote it, I came across a forum for nerdcore. And someone else was like, that's nerdcore. And I was like, what is that? So it made me dig a little deeper into a forum that I found on Rhyme Torrents. And a lot of guys that I guess were considered maybe first gen or maybe even zero gen of nerdcore were there. Some guys are still active, guys like Beefy, Michelle Riley, but not a lot of them are still active. But then there were guys who had achieved some popularity in nerd rap, which were MC Frontalot, MC Chris, later MC Lars. And so I would come across these guys' works on the internet, and it was through a meeting at South by Southwest, and not during the music festival, but during the film festival, the very next year, MC Frontalot had a movie called Nerdcore Rising coming out. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but I highly recommend it. Especially, it's a really good snapshot of where geek rap was at that time. This was 10 years ago. So, and seeing like the ups and the downs of it and what was going on and how Front's goal was to get to PAX. PAX was like the promised land, the glory land, and to get there. And now there's 3 PAXes, and different anime conventions that invite geek rappers to come and play. So now we have several, promised lands that we can look forward to on our trips. So it's really interesting shows together and traveling. And that was to me the first connection I made with those guys. And there was an event every year called Nerdapalooza that went on in Florida. And it's a big nerd, not just rap, but just nerd music convention where a lot of guys would come together and play. And then that kind of died a very sad death. And we're all like, oh no, we're not going to see each other anymore. It's more, if anything else, it was like a family reunion of sorts where we could all get together. And that's one thing I immediately noticed about the community is that everyone was friends. Everyone was really nice. There wasn't a lot of the competitive, backbiting nature that I had seen as a hip hop guy. You know, growing up playing hip hop shows and watching other rappers stand against the wall with their arms crossed. Like, yeah, we'll see what you got. And rather than that, we see guys in our community that will come up front, dance, jump around, and get excited as if it was their own. So it was really a different level of love and support that I saw. So I felt really comfortable. And from there, I was teaching at the same time. So until the day I got the phone call from MC Chris. MC Chris asked me to tour. He said, hey man, I heard your music. And that's how we talked. And he's like, my band said that you should tour with me. And I was like, cool. And so then I went on a tour that would kind of go on and change my life. It got me into 40 different cities all over the country and meeting so many people and making so many friends all over the place that made me realize that I wanted to do this full time. And so from then I just felt like asking myself, what do I have to do to make this my job? And so I couldn't really ask a lot of people because there weren't a lot of nerd rappers who did this full time, you know. So at that time it was just Lars Chris Front. And so I talked to all those guys and they were just like, be persistent, you know, put your all into every release, you know, make sure you are authentic and have fun. You know, those were basically bits of advice I got. And so I started reading from then. Then I would run into, I guess, what would be considered, the second generation of nerd rap guys. Guys like Richie Branson, guys like Kadesh Flow, some guys who were popular on YouTube, men like Joshua, others who were creating great tracks on YouTube based on the cartoons, comics that they loved. And being very consistent and performing at a really high level. One thing I noticed that a lot of nerd rap wasn't really done at a really high level production value. It was like a lot of guys being like, we're DIY, and I love the DIY aesthetic, but I also feel like you gotta give your all to the production quality. And at some level, you want to be able to sit your music next to some guy on the radio and have people say, oh, okay, not like, oh, that sounds really bad. You know. So this in touring and traveling, I started running into later generations of nerd rap, and I'm just like, wow, like there are more of us, you know. And I felt really, really excited and comfortable that these guys were coming out, and now we're at a point where, you know, it's not weird for a rapper to reference Dragon Ball Z in a song or things like that. So, but yeah, I think that's in a nutshell my experience at the beginning to now. That's where I came in, I guess. And then I met Samus.
Okay. Yeah, so I came into it, I would say around 2011 is when I dropped my first full-length project. Prior to that, I had been teaching in Houston in an elementary school. And I was really, really depressed with the state of the educational system. And for me, music had always been a thing that allowed me to find joy and feel like I had some control in my life. So I was making all these beats, and I was like, okay, I want to make a song about how it's really cool to like study and get good grades, and then I can show it to my students, and they'll be like, wow, that's amazing, I want to learn everything. Which didn't actually happen. I did make that song, but I was too scared to show it to my students because kids are cruel, and I didn't want to get clowned. But I did show it to adults, and they were like, oh, this is really interesting. You're talking about like Ninja Turtles and like having a high GPA and all these, like, I haven't heard something like this before. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'll keep making music like this. And then at that time, I had moved from teaching and I was pursuing graduate school work, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to really make music as much anymore. But again, when I fell into this dark state, it was like music was the only thing that was giving me life, that was pulling me up. So I wrote and produced this full-length album my first year of graduate school called Mother Brain, which is named after the kind of villain from Metroid. And I put it out, and then it became a bestseller on Bandcamp, which was crazy because I had done really trash kind of promotion for it. Like I tweeted about it a few times and like, hey, about Apple. And then I think a few weeks later, Megaran reached out to me and said, hey, we're kind of the same person. Like we both used to be teachers, both rappers, producers, who are named after video game characters with one letter difference, arm cannons, like it was kind of weird. So, it was like we should work together. So we did some collaborative stuff. We ended up working on like a Castlevania-inspired EP or project. And it was right around that time, in 2012, 2013, when I started seeing nerdcore be attached to my name. And at first I was really confused because I didn't know what that was. And people would be like, oh, here's this new nerdcore artist. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because to me, it was just like hip-hop about the stuff that I liked. And so through that, I kind of discovered the scene that Megaran's talking about. He connected me with this wide world of like conventions as spaces for performances. I had never even really been into convention spaces as a kid, although I knew about like Comic-Con and I was immersed in that culture, but only within my household. So it was really amazing to me to see that there was a whole other avenue for my music, and one in which like most or all of the references would be understood, which was really, really cool. And that inspired me to put together a Metroid-inspired EP, just being in that space and seeing that that was something that I could pursue. But I don't know if you want to talk about the, like I have a little bit of a contentiousness with the term nerdcore, so I kind of use the word Afrofuturist to describe my work, which has to do with thinking about projecting Black identities into like future spaces or spaces where we were never supposed to exist. So a lot of like video game landscapes or outer space ideas and identities, and there are people who have been doing this for years, and so I'm definitely not the person who started that, but I did want to have some kind of framing of my work that was inextricably linked to my Blackness. And so I felt this kind of push and pull with nerdcore, because especially at the time when I first saw it popping up, it wasn't a lot of rappers that looked like us, and so I just didn't know how to feel about it. So to this day, I think I say I have nerdcore projects, but I'm not a nerdcore MC. And here is None Like Joshua. Give him a round of applause.
So we were talking about our introduction to the word nerdcore and how that even came across our existence. So what's your story on that?
First off, hey, how y'all doing? My introduction to that was kind of by accident, actually. I had no idea nerdcore even existed when I started. I was just kind of rapping over my favorite like instrumentals, electronic beats and stuff like that. I like a lot of electronic music. And I was uploading them to YouTube, and then one day I found this Zelda dubstep remix, and I thought it was so cool. This was before dubstep was like really huge. I was really into that kind of sound. And I decided to rap about Zelda, just for no particular reason, just because I liked Zelda. I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is so nerdy, or this is nerdcore. I was just like, because I like Zelda, that's it. I was like totally like out of tune with the internet during that time, since I was like studying like really hardcore for college and having to read a lot of books. I know, boring, right? And so that's when as soon as I uploaded that to YouTube, people were like, oh my god, it's nerdcore, but with dubstep, that's crazy. And I was like, what? Like, what is that? And that's when I started looking more into it, and like, oh, this is a thing. I didn't know that. But people liked it. It was with a twist of, a new kind of, genre, a new kind of instrumental music. So that's how I got introduced to it. And then from there, you know, all these other nerdcore MCs that were on YouTube and everywhere else started talking to me, you know, wanting to do work. I met Kadesh Flow like back in 2011, 12, and he was like rapping about anime way back then. I don't know if you know Dan Bull, you know, the biggest nerdcore MC in the UK. He hit me up to Dave Boyd, a band back in the day when he was doing nerdcore stuff. Yeah, so it just kind of all toppled from there, and ever since I've just been keeping at it, keep doing it, and now I'm on tour with this great guy, this great girl. So how crazy is that? Dreams come true, yo. Dreams come true. Stick to it. Only took about 7-8 years. All right. Cool.
So let's talk about that. I want to talk about the kind of overnight success, you know, myth of, you know, kind of YouTube and all that stuff. A lot of people ask me, or I'm sure they ask you too, like, yo, how do you get started on YouTube? Like, how do you get popping on YouTube? And is it just really just upload a song and just kind of wait for the magic? Yeah.
That is a great question. I will say that you can actually become an overnight success that way, but the problem is that it will not last if you don't keep it going. Because as soon as people see that one video, they'll probably never watch it again. The majority don't. They're just like, oh, cool. Anyway, so if you could totally have a viral hit and then absolutely nothing come after that. The thing to do is to capitalize on it, is to make it your career. Because unless you get like, I don't even know, like maybe like tens of millions of views on a video, which is highly unlikely, you're not going to make that much money out of it. Like you could make $1 million, I mean 1 million views, but you're only going to make about maybe $400 or $500 off of that alone. So you have to, if you want to keep that as a career, you have to keep going and come up with something else. When it comes to actually like hitting the sweet spot of YouTube, it's all about quality and a little bit of luck and relevancy. Really, you know, dubstep was relevant back then, and that's why it took off so well back in the day. Zelda was just like such a niche community on YouTube and on the internet. And I didn't even know that. I thought I was like, yeah, Zelda's cool. I'm probably the only one that likes Zelda. I had no idea. I was just like, so I wasn't in some kind of forum or group of people who like Zelda. I just was like, yeah, I mean, maybe there's some people out there, but I really like it the most probably. So I was completely out of touch. And so yeah, relevancy and then the algorithm. I mean, the algorithm is probably, I mean, that is like, you must obey the algorithm. Oh. So when it comes to the algorithm, it's like you have to have the right thumbnail too. You have to have a face on the thumbnail, not more than 2 or 3 faces. One of the faces has to look shocked or surprised, or it has to be a woman because people are more appeal to women than men. When it comes to the timing, you have to upload it between 5 and 8 p.m., most likely on a weekday, not a weekend. When it comes to relevancy, it's like, what are people searching? What's the hottest game? What's the most popular search on YouTube right now? Even if it's something old, like, you know, I'll still upload Naruto raps, but because the Naruto community is so hardcore into watching anything Naruto, like it doesn't even matter that it came out like 2-3 years ago. It's just that the community is so hardcore into it, and people love putting trap music with Naruto AMVs for some reason. I don't know why that's the new trend, but watching Naruto ninjas fight over trap music is like the coolest thing. I gotta admit, it is pretty cool when I watch it. I'm just like, man, this is actually really badass. And yeah, so if you just happen to hit all those sweet spots, and with a little bit of luck, and having good quality definitely helps, but not always necessary. It can be like so bad that it's good. I'm sure you've all watched a video like that, where it's like, so bad, but I have to share it because it's so bad. You don't want to be, I don't know if you want to be that person, really. Obviously you want to be the person that's like, yeah, it's so good, that's why people are sharing it. So if you have good quality too, always try to go for good quality, match the same quality as the, you know, videos you share, the videos you idolize, and the artists, you know, who make music as well that you like. And you hit all those sweet spots, and you know, your video will just come up for people in recommended feeds, and people will just share it organically. The best way is organically, obviously, you know, but it will just come up for people who are just happy to be searching in that term on YouTube or something like that, or it's just a hot topic right now. And then it could go to 1 million views in one night, it could go to 1 million views over 3 years. You never know. I've had videos that came out and only hit maybe like 50,000 for like the first year. And then a year later, the algorithm just starts pushing it for some reason. And it just reaches 1 million views within like 2 days. Just randomly. You never know. But I would say that the greatest point you can have is that if you do nothing, you will get nothing. If you don't put something out there, then something will not happen. So your best bet is to just put it out there and see what happens. If nothing happens, keep going. Go to the next thing. See what the next big thing is. See what next project could work. Because you never know when the algorithm just decides that, hey, this is actually kind of cool. Enjoy, people.
That's true. I've seen that randomly stuff will just pop up, like whether through Reddit or something. Things just take off, and it'll be like, oh, that's a 4-year-old song. Okay, you know.
It happens. It does happen.
Can't predict the internet sometimes. Let's talk about live performances. Maybe have you guys both talk about being an artist that was. Have you been in situations or early on in your career where you're like, man, I can't. This stuff is too weird for this audience. How am I going to pull off what I do in this room? You know, because these spaces like this didn't exist forever, and they're not always easy to find. So if you want to go play a club on a Tuesday night, you know, you're going to be in a place where people might be a little apprehensive. So talk about one of the first times that either of you have worked in that type of environment, what's went through your head and how it went.
I would say, gosh, I'm trying to remember. So I have my arm cannon prop, and I got that specifically because I was starting to go to a lot of conventions, and I was like, oh, this is cool. People, you know, will respond to this, like, and I would respond to this. It's awesome. But I never like whipped out the arm cannon if I was like performing at like a bar or something. And then I think one time, I don't remember what the kind of impetus was, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. And I did it, and the response was awesome. There were so many Metroid lovers in the audience, I had no idea. And that really changed my perspective. I realized that I had been unfairly categorizing like the types of spaces and the types of folks who would respond to me. Like, of course there are Metroid lovers everywhere. They might not come to conventions. They might just be at the bar that night. And there might be nobody in the room who cares about Metroid, but people respond to passion, to things that you care about, things that you love. And so at that moment, I sort of realized that it doesn't matter if I'm performing in a comic book shop, in a bar, at a convention, outside, in my living room, that if I just give my all, and I think going back to what Josh was saying with the consistency idea, that if you're talking about something that you love, and it's not hard to be consistent, it's not hard to continue to be there. So just being passionate about it, I think, in that experience kind of overcame my anxiety about people being like, why is this lady with an arm cannon screaming at me right now? So yeah, that's my little story.
When it comes to live experience, I kind of got like I guess I kind of cheated, because as soon as I started writing music, I started performing it live, like just shortly thereafter. I didn't wait at all. We had a bunch of open mics around my campus. We had this kind of music forum thing for all the music business students to like play their music for our like group forum for all the students. So like as soon as I wrote my first song, I was like, all right, it's going in. I was so nervous that the entire time I was performing, I was like shaking with the mic like this, but I was like trying to hold it down, like trying to keep cool. But when I first started actually like writing rap and music and stuff like that, I wasn't really going for nerdcore. I was kind of going for I guess like indie rap, Sage Francis, Buck 65, anti-con stuff. I was really big into underground indie rap at the time, so I was trying to like be really poetic and enigmatic and like, you don't understand me because you're not smart enough, and kind of rap. And but shortly thereafter, I found myself writing about like robots and time travel and ninjas and just like weird parallel universes and stuff like that. That you know, and I didn't even know that was nerdcore. I just thought it was cool. It was just stuff I was into. That's what rappers really do. They just rap about stuff that they like, and I just like that stuff. Eventually, by the end of my college campus, I was like, you know, when I did the music forum, I wasn't even nervous at all. I was like, and I was already rapping about like this robot coming back to the past where I was living, and then saying like, oh my gosh, you have to come to the future. You're the only one that can save us. Music has been banned. You're the only one that can bring it back. And I'm like rapping about this to my whole music business crowd, and I'm just thinking like, you know, they'll probably think that's really weird and nerdy, but I don't care. I mean, that's really the attitude you have to have when it comes to nerdcore. It's just like, you never know when you're exposing it to people, that people may not really understand why you're rapping about something like that. But you never know when someone in the crowd is just like, yo, this is really dope. I didn't even know this existed. I met a girl in South by Southwest who makes electronic music and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, I'm a nerdcore rapper. She's like, what the heck is that? Didn't even know, but she might go check it out and I like it. Who knows? When I first started performing live, I mean, I was taking whatever gig I could get, you know, but I was like rapping about kind of like Nintendo stuff. Everybody knows Nintendo. Who doesn't know Nintendo? Super Mario. Most people knew about Zelda. I wasn't like rapping about some obscure anime that never, you know, made it to Adult Swim or anything like that yet. And then over time, as I just kept performing more and performing more, I just kind of became comfortable with just rapping about whatever I wanted and didn't really care if anybody didn't like it. I was just like, yo, this is about Zelda. And maybe one person in the crowd went, woo! So I was like, all right, this is for that one person. You know, if they're gonna like it, maybe it'll be a fan for life after that, who knows? I've been offered to play at weddings and been like, yo, is this like a nerdy wedding? They're like, no, not at all. I'm like, well, then this might not work then. Like, unless you're having a Star Wars themed wedding, I'm not sure if this is going to be the best mix. I don't want to just, you know, do a nerdcore rap show in the middle of like a country bumpkin wedding, backyard shotgun wedding. You know, that's weird. Yeah, we got the karaoke machine, so you can do all that. I'm like, wow, I better be getting paid for this. So, but I've opened up for like punk rock bands, I've opened up for metal bands, I've opened up for like pop, rap groups, and it was like super awkward, but I didn't care. They were like rapping about drugs and, you know, women and stuff like that, but I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna blow them away, like, I don't care. And, you know, people still thought it was cool, so sometimes you can be a breath of fresh air for a concert and people didn't even know that fresh air existed. So yeah, I would say just go for it, take the opportunities you can get when it comes to performing live, get all the experience you can, get all the little heebie-jeebies out, you know, build up the confidence. Because remember, like I said last night, it's all about practice. You can do anything you want as long as you practice. Get over it as long as you practice.
That's a good one. We're going to take some questions in about 5 minutes, so think about if you have any questions for any of us. We would love to answer those. But I want to go around the table one more time and talk about the downside, I guess, if there is one, to just in general being an independent musician. You know, it looks pretty great when people see us on stage, you know, living our best life. But what are some of the cons that people don't see about creating music independently, especially within a niche sometimes, or anything? What do you think?
Okay, real quick. Well, I think one of the things we've already talked about is this: when there's a label that's attributed to your music, people often see it through that lens no matter what you talk about and how you talk about it. So I remember I had a feature of a track, a new single that I had put out, and it was on NPR, and I was so excited. And then I started reading it, and they were like, geeky this, and geeky that, and geeky this. And this, if you listen to the song, it's talking about, you know, struggles with kind of racism in this country, and like all these other things. But the journalists had like hyper-focused on like me talking about like a cartoon or something. And I realized that, oh no, this label means that whenever I talk about something, if I drop a bar about Donatello, Raphael, whatever, they're going to zero in on that because they think that's my shtick. They don't know that there's this whole layer that I'm interested in talking about. So I had to fight really, really hard to have that, the rest of that be seen and recognized. And sometimes that means putting out a song that has nothing to do with video games and cartoons and letting it stand on its own and not explaining to anyone so they can see there's a fullness here. Like, I love these things, but they're used to talk about other stuff that I'm dealing with and going through. So there's that. I would say it's also very emotionally taxing if you perform the way that any of us perform. We're really engaged and you really care about the stuff. Putting yourself out there night after night after night after night is really, really, really hard, you know. And I remember when I first started kind of breaking down on stage, I might cry sometimes, and it felt really cathartic because it was like, wow, I'm just dealing with a lot. And even though I'm expressing that while being on stage, there's so much that I can't say, so much unsaid. So it's really emotionally, I think, up and down. And if you're in a relationship, it's really, really hard, especially if you're touring a lot, just kind of maintaining that and balancing that. And then the last thing that I would say is that it's, like, when a lot of people say, wow, it's so brave of you or impressive that you're pursuing your graduate work and pursuing music. And it's not a brave thing. The reason I do it is because I'm scared, because I don't know which side is going to kind of work out. Like, I stayed with them for so long because I didn't know, like, if the bottom drops out from this music thing, I gotta have something else. So it was really more out of fear that I kind of continued to pursue both paths. Because you know what's hot today isn't hot tomorrow, and people don't care. You see how Twitter works, how the internet works. Someone will get torn apart. There's no sort of context. No context is given on the internet. There's just a headline and the responses. So I didn't want to bank on that, and now I feel a lot more comfortable because I've been able to build a group of supporters who are so fabulous, come to shows and continue to give. But that was only very, very recently that I felt like I had the confidence to really step out on the ledge. So yeah, it takes a long time, as I was saying, to build that confidence up, and it always feels a little tenuous. So yay, rap life.
Yay, rap life. I'm gonna get that tattoo. Yeah, I would say when I first started out, I was a little more self-conscious about my image and how I'd be perceived about, you know, being nerdcore, being taken seriously and stuff like that. For the first couple of years, I was thinking like, you know, oh, nobody takes me seriously because I rap about Kingdom Hearts and, you know, cool stuff like that. And then I eventually just decided to quit caring about that whole image. I decided to quit thinking that, you know, my success is depending on how people perceive me. When it really just depends on how I work and my work ethic and just how prolific I can be. You know, I was getting a lot of pressure from my peers starting out because, you know, none of them knew what nerdcore was either. So they were like, well, can you make like real music? My mom, I love her to death, but geez. I mean, now she just bugs me. Now that I actually have some kind of like clout in the music world, now she's just like, when are you gonna write a song about me? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, but at first she was just like, you know, she wanted me to like make music like Michael Bublé. I'm like, I can't even sing, so that's not gonna work. But a lot of people I worked with at the time, you know, I mostly met a lot of original MCs and a lot of people who just made kind of like regular electronic beats and singers and stuff. None of them were nerdcore. They'd be like, you know, oh man, you can do what regular mainstream rappers do. You could totally do what Logic does, what G-Eazy does, or any other big rapper. You could be just like that, make it. And it's like, well, I don't want to do that, to be honest. Like, you know, now, because there's so much pressure as just a nerdcore artist of wondering, like, could I be more successful? I decided to be just like that or not, you know, or if I was less nerdcore or something like that. So I kind of like dabbled with original tunes and to kind of nerdcore as well at the beginning, but then, you know, after a while, I found that, you know, not many people really understood the original music or really cared, or that my original music just wasn't as good. Like, I did not have as much passion into it as I did about the nerdcore stuff, and people noticed that, and that's totally fine. I completely accept that now. So eventually I just quit caring about, you know, having this mainstream success or being mainstream. And that as long as I can, you know, pay my bills, as long as I'm happy, And as long as I don't stop, you know, and that I can do this, I can keep going. I don't have to care about what other people think or what pressure they give me, you know. And now my mom just wants me to write a song about her. It's not even about, like, you know, just being mainstream and things like that. She just wants a song about her. And, you know, my dad, of course, too, he's always been supportive. He's like, you know, rap about what you like. Just rap about what you enjoy. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, find something else. And that's always been the motto, you know, just keep it going. So early success, yeah, there's always this question of whether or not, like, you can make pop music and it can be successful. But if your heart's not in it, you shouldn't write songs that you don't like. You shouldn't write about topics that you don't understand or don't know as well or just don't enjoy. You should always write about what you enjoy and what you like. And that way, I mean, people can actually, it's almost like subconsciously feel or hear the passion in that as opposed to something you don't enjoy or don't like. So yeah, so that would be my take.
That's what I was going to get to next. This is a question I get in a lot of interviews. It's usually the last question. So I'm going to get the last question here. Any advice for up-and-comers? I feel like, let's get that out of the way in case someone has that question here. Is there any advice you'd give me? I'd give the advice that was given to me. Just make sure every moment is meaningful. Don't waste time, don't waste bars, don't waste, you know, topics and ideas, unless you're really ready to go full on hard with it. Make sure every song is about something, even if it sounds like it's about nothing. And don't be afraid to be different. And I think just piggybacking off of Josh, I think that you can choose to be concerned and caught up in what people are going to think of you, but just know that will hold you down a little bit. And so,
and it will show.
It's a choice to do that. For a long time, I spent time trying to gain the respect of real rappers, and then I was like, wow. I think I saw a quote from somebody that said it's so much easier to try to fit in than to stand out, but it's actually the reverse. I think it's easier to be yourself, and if that's standing out, then so be it. So it sounds super cliche, but just be who you are, and like you said, if you're passionate about something, it'll show, and that'll shine through all the BS. So that's my advice. What you guys?
I have a couple pieces of advice. First is that you should quit your day job when your night job pays off. That's my one take. Do not quit your job if you are not making the full amount of income off of music or whatever your hobby is. That is very dangerous. You could wind up on the streets. So if you should keep a day job, and if you really want your night job to pay off, then you have to work overtime. That's you have to put the work in. I'm sorry. It's okay to have a day job and have a hobby and, you know, do things at night and have that kind of second job as your artist, as a creator, whatever you want. So you're gonna have to put the work in, but do not quit your day job if your night job is not paying off yet. I know it sounds glamorous, but you're probably not going to see a profit for the first 2 years of making art, most likely. Most startup businesses don't even make a profit for the first 2 years. So work the day job, save up, you know, pay off your bills, do what you can. Definitely save though, and, you know, start finding, you know, ways to put yourself out there and expose your music as opposed to thinking you're going to make a profit. You know, for my first year, I played most of the conventions for free. NashiCon was the first convention that actually paid me for my work, actually. Like, that's why I love this place. They were the first ones, and I didn't even ask for money. I was just like, yeah, I'll pay for free, just pay for my gas, $50, that's it. And they're like, no, we'll give you way more than that. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm super happy with them. They were the first ones to actually pay me for actually being here and putting in the work. And my second piece of advice will be that if going along with the whole first part of income is that when you're an artist, your income fluctuates like crazy. You will have very unstable times. You will question if things will work out. Because obviously success kind of translates to numbers. You know, your metrics, your followers, your income. Everything goes back to numbers when it comes to measuring your success. There's going to be times where you see those numbers sink it down. It happens. Sometimes, especially on YouTube. YouTube's the biggest thing, you know. in January is the worst one for advertising because the holidays are over, people are going back to school, they don't watch YouTube as much. You're going to see those numbers go down like crazy. You're going to think, what am I doing this for? Oh my God, why did I get into this? This is crazy, this is madness, I'm going to be broke in like a year. But if you keep it going, it'll go back up. That's the thing about it. So following into that, my second piece of advice is that when you think everything has gone wrong, it probably hasn't. But when you think everything's gone right, it's probably really, really wrong. Do not stay comfortable for too long. It's nice, but you should probably keep going. You should probably expect the unexpected. Anything could go wrong. Anything. So
that's good advice. If you think you got the home run idea that's going viral tomorrow, it's not. It's absolutely not going to be it.
Yeah, I had that many thoughts. I thought, wow, this is going to take off. This is going to change the world. It did not. So, but sometimes, and then some videos it's like, whatever. This is just for fun. I made this in 5 minutes. Who cares? And then boom, it just takes off. Like you never know. Sometimes, but I would just say keep your expectations grounded. I used to say keep your expectations low, but then that seemed to like really like damage people's confidence, like, wow, this is gonna suck. But no, don't have that attitude. So like, you never know. Just keep it grounded. You never know what's gonna happen. Don't let it get to your head, but don't beat yourself up either if it doesn't go the way you want it. Just learn from it, move on, and take it as a learning experience to do better from it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so real quick, I would say I would echo everything they said. No one gig, no one song, no one thing will make or break you. But I do think that you should give 100%, and so will. Like have that mentality, perform your behind off, give everything, leave everything on the stage, every song, figure out the perfect words, because again, you never know what will resonate with some folks. The other thing I would say is get people around you that you trust and that you care about and that you can share ideas with. When I was first starting out, I kind of circulated between a lot of different crews, and some groups were really interested in like image, and they were like, we gotta get a manager, we gotta get the headshots, we gotta get this, that, and the third. And I was like, we don't have any music. We don't have any music. Like, I don't understand.
We gotta go on tour.
We gotta go on tour. We don't have any songs. So I was like, I need to leave this. And I found folks who were interested in the music primarily first. That's the most important thing. Like the music, like they were saying, the production value's gotta be there. It's gotta sound good. You have to feel good about it. And then the other stuff follows. The other stuff will come. And you don't want people looking back for your catalog and seeing, this person doesn't really care, didn't really care. Like it's great when they're able to go back through your entire catalog. They might find you 7 years after you've come out, and they go back to that first project and it still feels, it still sounds good because you cared about it. So that's the other thing. And then, sorry, one last thing I was gonna say. Oh, I forgot it, no. It might come back, but.
I was gonna piggyback off of that actually. That there are a lot of mainstream artists who had a lot of success years after writing some of their songs actually. I don't know if you've heard of Trap Queen. She's my Trap Queen. That song was already written for like what, 2 or 3 years before it actually made mainstream success. But Fetty Wap stayed at it, kept pushing it, kept promoting. He was traveling, he was doing shows too. Eventually it caught on. Put the work in. Okay. Post Malone's Fall Apart, great example. He wrote that song like one of his first albums, and it only got mainstream success like 2 years later after he wrote it. It started actually charting, even though he wrote it 2 years back. So it just goes to show you, if you put your all into just one piece of one creation, you never know what can happen. You never know if people pick it up just for some off chance reason.
Another thing is very quick, yes, that I know that some of this stuff can sound a little bit heavy, but I also say start where you are and don't be afraid to start, even if you feel like you're late to the game. So I didn't start rapping until I was like 25 or 24 or 25. And a lot of the people that I came into these spaces with have been in ciphers and been doing stuff since they were like 11, 12 years old. And so, but that didn't deter me. I'm 32 now, and I'm I'm like still learning, still getting better, and still encouraging people. You can start when you're 32, you can start when you're 45, you can start when you're 67, I don't care. Just start where you're at, it doesn't matter. And like I said, the passion will come through. People will see that and will support you. And in fact, a lot of folks will come and support you because they respect the fact that you're getting started in a way and in a space that not a lot of other folks have. So yeah, just don't be afraid to make that first song, even if you have no experience, you've never done anything like this before.
That's a good one. All right, we got 5 minutes. We got to go into questions though. Is there something else?
I was going to chime in that Macklemore broke thrift shop when he was 35.
There you go.
For now.
So we have 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions, please, or there's no like mic in the center, but
you can come up
or yell. Just raise your hand, or we can bring the wireless to you, even. Brandon, you want to take this gentleman the mic? Or, yeah, thanks. Also, we'll have some merchandise that we have left over in case you haven't bought everything that you want to buy here at Con. Afterwards, we're going to set up a little bit of merch and feel free to get some stuff.
Or tacos.
Or Tom.
This sentence. You said last night in one of your songs, you are not one thing, you are not two things, you are not three things, you're also not four things.
But she more thing.
That's right. So I want to ask the panel, which musician do you enjoy who is the most unlike your sound or anything that you are like? That might even surprise us.
That's
Wow.
a good one.
What a good question.
Most unlike me. I feel like there's a little bit of pieces of stuff that I enjoy in like everything, but okay. I'm gonna say Jay-Z.
What?
Is he unlike me? He's pretty unlike me.
Both rap.
Well, we both rap. Is that not fair? Okay, so that's all right. Maybe I can't say Jay-Z. All right, come back to me.
Okay, I think I got mine. But as Sam said, as Rand said too, we take a little bit of everything we're kind of exposed to and enjoy. But I at the beginning of my high school days, I was kind of really into jazz, and I was really into drumming. But I want to say I would like to say that that's so unlike me. But the thing is that I took a lot of experience of like different rhythms and different, just beats and stuff like that. I was a big Buddy Rich fan, who's notably the best jazz drummer in the world. But the thing is that that's kind of what I do anyway. I kind of put rhythms and I work with different beats and stuff like that into my flows, into my rapping and the poetry of it all. So I want to say that's unlike me, but I feel like I definitely took almost everything from there and being able to write different rhythms and stuff like that from drumming and stuff like that. And I can name a million metal bands that don't rap, but the thing is that I kind of bring that energy of the metal show. I grew up, first time I went to a metal show, I was 8 years old. I saw Korn and Kid Rock and Metallica. I don't even know if that's acceptable now as a parent to do, but back in 1998, that was pretty cool. And I started moshing when I was like 13 years old. So, I was exposed to the metal, I guess, at such a young age that I kind of put that into my music now. But I really enjoy the Carpenters as well. You don't know the Carpenters now? Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? I really like that band. And Celine Dion. I really like Michael Bublé. I really like very passionate singing and melodic singing and stuff like that. That's probably the best. Even though I cannot sing for anything, as you just heard, but that's kind of, I really like the melodies from like singers and bands like that. Yeah, really hardcore singers.
So real quick, I just looked on what was on my phone. There's a band called Fleet Foxes. Really love the beautiful harmonies. I grew up listening to like Green Day, Radiohead, Weezer. And then there's this guy, Calm Trues. He makes like weird kind of like synthy VHS type stuff, I really, really enjoy. Yeah, and Bjork, she's so weird, I love her.
Yeah, big Bjork fan. Oh my gosh. I'm into a really cool duo called Sylvan Esso. Just heard their stuff and like incredible. Super like synth pop and like really great melodies. I think we got like 1 minute if there's one last thing, or we can just talk to you personally if you guys have any questions. But since this is all about hip hop, I would love for y'all to make some noise! Nice. Thank you guys so much for coming, hanging out with us. We'll be around for at least the next hour or so. Definitely want to hit the dealer's room, pick up some cool things, and then we have to continue our tour. So look forward to chatting with anybody. Thank you for being here. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.